Hello guys, this is Mike from McProgramming.org. Welcome to your third Java concurrency and multi-threading tutorial. We're going to talk about the keyword synchronized in this one and what that means, and as quick as I can explain, I guess, and simple as I can explain, is if you have two threads that are running and they're both accessing the same data field, whether it be some type of instance variable like an int count, um, and they should each be accessing it one at a time, but sometimes accessing something, uh, they interweave and the count gets a little bit messed up or something along those lines, and inaccurate results are sent back. So let's see how we can fix that problem, and I'll show you an example where we'll have the problem and then how to fix it. So I created a little class called homeostasis, and if you know what that means, it's just, you have to have homeostasis within your body, which is the balance, um, to stay alive. And if your homeostasis goes up or down, and there's a lot of factors involved, your body temperature, your pH levels, a lot of things, but if it goes up or down too much, you're going to die. So you need to keep that balanced. So I'm just going to create a counter variable, public, and in the counter variable, I'm just going to call it balance, and we're going to set that equal to 0, and we kind of want to keep our balance at 0. So let's create a few methods. Now I'm going to create a public void method. Public void, I'm just going to say, let's say, I don't know, going through life. Going through life. And in that, you're going to have all types of things that are going to, bring you up, bring you down. But you should live, hopefully, if your body is in good shape. So I'm going to throw two threads within this method. And we're going to say, thread, we'll call it T1 equals new thread, and we want this thread inside its parameter to throw a runnable. So we're going to say new runnable and make some parentheses and go on the outside of the parenthesis that has to do with runnable, and you can put a curly bracket, opening curly bracket, and hit enter, and it should automatically give you this space right here. And you want to put a semicolon after that parenthesis that lines up with this. So everything within the thread parameter should be from here to here, and that's where you're closing it off. And then here is where you're going to implement runnable. So go over here and say add unimplemented methods, and it'll print out run. And I'll get rid of some of the space in the to-do things. And I'm going to copy and paste this because I want two threads for this example. Copy, paste, and I'm going to call this thread or T2. Alright, and now I need to create two methods that I want, and each one of these is going to do a different method. So let me say I want to add to balance in one method and subtract in another method. So let's say public void bad day, and we're going to, I guess they'd both be bad days if we're taking and giving away. Let's just say add, yeah, I'll just say add, whatever. And we're going to increment balance, so balance plus plus. And now we're going to have the same method except for it's going to be subtract. And I don't know why I just said the same method, but the same type of method. It's just going to be dealing with that instance variable and adding to and subtracting from. And so in one of these, I want to call the add method, and the other one I want to call the subtract method. But that only does it one time, so I need to do a for loop actually. And I'm going to have it go through a bunch of times. So I equals 0, and let's go through it like 100,000 times, a bunch of times. So that's 6 zeros, and we're going to increment I the whole time. We can put some curly brackets around there, and to format that, you can do Control Shift F. There we go. So it's a little prettier. And I'm just going to copy and paste this. Copy, paste, but I want this to be subtract. Okay, let's take a time out and look at what this is supposed to do. So we're going to call, we're going to create a homeostasis object in here, homeostasis, and I'll just call it H equals new homeostasis. Should have picked a smaller word. Okay, and then I want to say H dot going through life. Okay, so if I ran that, it should, you would think theoretically it should be 0, because at the same time you're adding 100,000, you're subtracting 100,000. But if we printed that out, that's not always going to be the case, because adding, if you look at this method right here, the balance plus plus, what this really is a computer doing 3 steps in one, which is balance equals balance plus 1. So the computer is doing 3 steps in one, and while it's doing that thread, the other thread is very possible will jump in and interweave with it and access the data before it gets incremented. So the count or the balance may not be 0, it may be below 0 or above 0 now, because data is getting shared and not the way that you want it to. It's accessing the data at the same time when one should be accessing it at a time. So it's not what you call synchronized. So let me print this out for you just to show you what I'm talking about here, so I'm not just talking and not making sense. So in this going through life method, we need to print out what balance is at the end. And if I just printed it out now, it would probably be 0, because, well, first I need to start them actually. So t1.start, and we can do t2.start. And if I printed out balance, it would probably be 0, because it really didn't give these things to start, time to start spinning. And we want to wait until the threads are done before we print it out. So the way we do that to check if a thread is done is the join method. And this is a pretty easy thing to call. It's just t1.join, and if you look at what it says wait for this thread to die, and that's all it does. So it waits for the thread to die, and then it will do what's next in the order. And you're going to need to put this in a try catch. So it throws the interrupted exception. Like I said, we'll get to the interrupts and interrupted exceptions in very future tutorials. Not very future, but very soon to be tutorials. So I also want to put the t2.join to make sure both of these finish their threads, and then I can print out balance. So let's do system.out.println, and we just want to say balance. Doesn't matter how you format it. You don't even have to put any string in there at all. You can just put the variable name balance if you want. And we want it to be 0. Let's see what happens when we run this. Make sure everything's looking right. Okay, it's called in the main method. Okay, so let's run this. Okay, so right now balance is 17. So because it was sharing the data at the same time, it didn't do each step once at a time, and it ended up being 17. So let's do it again. 519, negative 13,000. That's really off. Okay, there's chances it might be 0 every once in a while, but if you want to make sure that only one thread accesses a variable at one time, so this problem doesn't happen, this is what you do. You're going to use this keyword right here called synchronized. Let me make sure I remember how to spell it. Synchronized with a Z, not an S. Synchronized. Okay. So now what this means, I didn't spell it right. Synchronized. Okay, and that's a Java reserved keyword, just like volatile was. And now when we run it, uh, it should execute this, wait till that's done, and then execute that, and so on. So it won't be executing at the same time and retrieving inaccurate results. So let's see what happens now when we run it. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. See, so synchronized is a very excellent way if you have multiple threads running to make sure that are accessing the same data to make sure that it's getting the correct data. And you can see how important that is, um, especially if you're working in fields that involve life or death situations. This could be very important. So that is an overview of the synchronized keyword. I might get into like a second part on synchronized if this doesn't make as much sense for the next tutorial. I'm not sure exactly what the next one would be, but I really do love the Java threads, and I am going to end this video now. So please subscribe below and check out my website, www.mcprogramming.org, if you haven't. And thank you guys for watching.